Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara. Episode 55. Shri Mahaswami, the Sage with Eyes of Light. The Diary of a Seeker of Truth, Dr.Serge Demetrian. Dear devotees, now we shall listen to the second part, fourth section of this divine book under the subtitle At the Shivasthana Ashram. Shivasthana, Guruvara, 20th January 1972. During the last 6 days, Sri Mahaswami has brought me gradually up to this great day. The feeling of effort while meditating was perished almost completely. The minor obstacles such as fatigue and conflicting thoughts can now be easily removed. What is the mystery of the number 6? 6 hours, 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years in the seeking of truth? Today, I left Kanchipuram early for Shivasthana. After the bus terminal, I continued on foot. After about 1 kilometer, as soon as I crossed the area of Thenambakam, I could feel the presence of Sri Mahaswami, and especially on the last 500 meters after crossing the dried riverbed of the Vegavati river. At Shivasthana, hardly had I reached the well as Swamiji, of whom I was constantly thinking, came out into the southern narrow interior yard. I hurried to the lake to sprinkle a few drops of water over me and came back to the opening of the well. He was undressed, keeping only the transversal band of the loin cloth hanging on his waistband. He grasped the orange cloth that was lying on the ground and without hurrying, he effortlessly tore off two larger strips. The shorter he threw over the wall and the longer he passed under the string of his waistband. The remaining cloth he put on the rim of the well. I felt that the thrown strip and the abundant cloth could well be for me, but it was impossible to take them due to the presence of the visitors. It was hardly 5:30 p.m. Instead, I had to wait for the night to come. Then Sri Mahaswami retired to his room, but soon he reappeared at the main axis on the western side, whose bar door was kept open, and stood there facing south. The enemies, that is, certain traditionalists who did not know me or did not want to know me and who strived to screen me from being near Swamiji, were absent. The visitors on this day were peaceful and less numerous. He started by gazing at me with a half open left eye. Eventually, he opened the right one. It was not for looking at me, for when he wants to see me, he closes the right one and opens wide the left one. His changes of demeanor during a single darshan are impressive. Sometimes he is dreamy, sometimes intense and cutting, then reassuring. After this, worried, now joyous at an offering, soon after concentrated, wanting to remember something. In a moment, he is serene, at another, retired, distant. It is as if he would speak through his postures without uttering a syllable, without whispering a word. It is quite definite that he reads us. For him, we are open books. His mind works with the speed of lightning and can be in several places at the same time. He is like a shepherd who knows ahead the movements of his flock, as he can foresee the reactions of each one of the sheep. His knowledge and abilities certainly extend to other levels than those of the ordinary life. In addition, he influences sometimes and only for a good cause those he had chosen. What happens then is a mystery. Perhaps it is some sort of osmosis, which one could point to by the word presence, the charisma of the saint of the sage. Today, he remained behind the western window door and permitted me to look at him as much as my heart could stand. From time to time, I took a short walk in order to avoid the headache and also to check on the cloth pieces kept by him on the rim of the well, that is, on the southern side of the enclosure. Unlike other occasions, upon each of my reappearances from a walk, I always found my place free as if it were specifically guarded. After some time, Sri Mahaswami changed his position and faced north. He became thoughtful. The face looked longer, with diaphanous and dark blue eyes. I noticed that his head moved almost imperceptibly, an unusual happening given my previous extensive experience with his darshan. Could it be a beginning symptom of Parkinson? It would be surprising, as during the last darshan, hardly 8 days before, I did not notice anything. I attentively continued my observation and I understood the reason. He was performing his puja on a very small scale. He repeated all the movements of a customary puja. I retired some 10 meters back and sat on the inviting veranda of the nearby temple with the intention to witness silently this conversation of Ishvara with himself. At the very second, he turned his face towards the west. I came to be in his field of vision. The night had just come down. I could not see his eyes. Nevertheless, I was feeling them. As soon as I changed the position of my head, he performed a reciprocal movement so that I would keep my eye in the same horizontal level as his. During this interval of about 20 minutes, he directed towards me a ray of incredible force. The cumulated result of all these intensities of his presence on this day was that he had totally transformed me into himself, or more exactly, it was he who transformed himself into what could be still designated as I. He entered through the skylights of my eyes and took charge of the nose, mouth, brain, spinal cord, then the rest of the scaffolding of the body. I was feeling who was this I? Perhaps a spare I, a detached witness, staying there just to record the event that only Sri Mahaswami existed in Sri Mahaswami. A body woven out of gold and ether, bathing in calm happiness. I could understand from where the real saints and the great sages draw their certitudes. They reach this state by their will. Moreover, probably this is their permanent condition. The proof that this state exists is that it is transmissible to others. Sri Mahaswami slowly withdrew his legs, then a hand, then the other, finally the whole body. That is, he wanted to quit this terrestrial flesh, mine, to which he had shown its real nature just now. There was no positive mental excitation, neither accompanying nor following this experience, as often happened in the past. Even less was that type of negative mental upheaval, what I termed the written regret or sense of loss of that divine state, as these reactions had vanished long ago. The normal condition of this one is probably a minute part of Sri Mahaswami's nature, while the ordinary life is the abnormal condition destined. Let's hope for a rapid and total disappearance, a feeling that should be carefully investigated. Meanwhile, it started raining, which is unusual in this season. I remembered the strip and the piece of cloth of the clothing of Sri Mahaswami. The strip was that was thrown over the wall was not there anymore, but the piece of cloth on the rim of the well, one could say that it was waiting for me. There was nobody around. As the rain had scattered the onlookers, I mentally sought permission. I respectfully touched it and then took it with both hands and concealed it under my shawl on the heart's side. Before leaving, I went to the nearby temple where I experienced a short but powerful inside dipping in front of the Shivalinga, which had a very serene presence. I felt each time the help of Sri Mahaswami, who was sitting some 15 meters behind me. It was he who carried the Chandramaulishvara along my spine in the interior, and it was he who acted in such a way that my eyes were replaced by the threefold golden bilva leaf. I left by 8 p.m., hugging the new treasure on my chest, the cloth of Sri Mahaswami. The return journey to Kanchipuram was exceptionally fast. I wanted to reach the temple of the Queen, and I arrived just when the bell which signals the near closing rang. I quickly entered and saw the eyes of the great goddess largely open, sending out a steady ray of ethereal light. The Murti, that is form of Adi Shankara, was almost moving. So much was he alive, for me at least. He directed towards his devotee a very powerful blessing he created in the same way as Sri Mahaswami in the interior of my spine, a Spatika Linga in ether, and in my eyes the threefold golden bilva leaf. The Utsava Murti of the goddess and then Mahasaraswati also blessed me. Back at home, I noticed that what I took for a piece of the clothing of Sri Mahaswami was in reality one of his towels. I stretched it along my spine from the head to the lower part of my neck back for a few minutes. I had once again the rare experience of light as a large pillar stretched from the head down to the coccyx with a vapor like shift of the entire body. Devotees, we shall continue to listen at the Shivasthana ashram in the coming episode, bowing at the holy feet of the Gurus. Aum Sairam. Hara Hara Shankara, Jaya Jaya Shankara.